folk story that tells the tale of an apparition appearing to a child. Always lends the tale a certain turn of the screw. But if one child lends the tale one turn, what then can be said of two children? The answer, of course, is two children give two turns. The woman was my sister's governess. She was 10 years my senior, very agreeable woman, very worthy. She told me the story in the garden. The best stories, she said, always begin in the garden. A man, a woman, a forbidden fruit, the loss of innocence, the discovery of something altogether. Not the details, a letter, a locket, a riddle, a name. The words are her own, written in her diary in faded ink on the pages of 7 days. This is the story she tells. It is a story of terror, and horror, and death. It made my very heart stop.
June 17th, 1872.
The first day, I meet my destiny.
The only daughter of a poor country parson, I have come up to London at the age of 20 in trepidation to answer in person an advertisement that has already put me in brief correspondence with a respected patron, a gentleman of great wealth and stature, a bachelor in the prime of life in his own imposing house on Harley Street. I love children.
I despise them.
Oh.
Not in the flesh, of course. Love them in the flesh. Despise them figuratively. I mean, figure of speech, in theory, as a concept. Not my nephew, not my niece. Don't despise them. They're not concepts. They're well, actually quite real.
I like a real child.
Well, then, this position should be quite your sort of thing. Real children, real house, gardens and a lake, and a housekeeper. All either real, or at least imaginative in the appearance thereof. Sherry.
No, thank you.
Tea, then.
Yes, please.
Sugar.
No.
Milk.
Yes.
Quite.
Thanks.
Now, business, background. The house is called Bly, though no one knows why. It is in Essex, for that's where it is. Family place, many years, never go down. A bit like Hamlet's Elsinore. Battlements and towers, a water below and beneath. Rather, a ship at sea, Bly. Very romantic, if that's your bent.
I am a romantic at heart.
12 months ago, I was left by the deaths of my brother and his wife, guardian to my nephew and niece. They are delightful creatures.
I'm sure.
Never see them, never go down. It's awkward. I am a bachelor. I have no experience of children.
I am certain you have done everything within your power.
There are no other relations. Family. Awkward. Their lives take up all my time.
Children?
And my affairs take up all my time.
I understand.
You do?
Not enough time.
You see the conflict.
Persuasively.
I need a woman. I need courage and fineness and a pure heart to guide them. It is a challenge, but the woman I choose must not shrink from that. So many young women. Well, they are the very personification of aversion. You're not that, are you? Aversion?
A what?
Aversion. You're not averse to a challenge, are you?
No, I enjoy a challenge. It's hard to know sometimes what is best for a child.
What children want is a mystery.
We were all children once. What we want is affection, love, protection. There is nothing like a child in pain.
The girl is there now. The boy is away at school until the end of term. You will go to Bly then, immediately? Provided, of course, that the salary and such are to your satisfaction.
I am more than satisfied, sir.
A satisfied woman. Our very goal in life. As governess at Bly, you should receive all monies from my solicitors. I'll send with you certain letters, instructions, that sort of thing. But you shall be in supreme authority.
Oh!
You shall be lonely. You shall be very lonely. Do you fear loneliness?
I do not fear what I know.
And I should tell you, there have been other young women who have sat in this room, gloves on, eyes expectant, for whom the sacrifice appeared to be prohibitive.
Prohibitive? Sounds like a plot of heaven. Why prohibitive?
Because of my main condition, that you should never trouble me. Never. Never. Neither appeal nor complain, not write about anything. You must meet all questions and adversity yourself. From the moment you enter Bly, our communication is hushed.
But I really...
Shh. Have I seduced you?
What are their names?
Miles and Flora.
Miles and Flora. Miles and Flora. I will. Yes, I promise. I will sacrifice and they will be cared for. It shall be the joy of my life.
Success. I have seduced you.
Question, though. The children have been in your care for 1 year. Am I their first governess?
Oh, no, there was a woman.
She moved on.
She went away. God be with you.
The 18th of June, 1872.
The second day, I am come to Bly.
By the next morning, my heart is beating with expectation. As I prepare for my journey, my head is full of doubts. I have never had charge of children before. I'm sure I'm not up to the task. I imagine the worst. It is in this state of mind that I spend the long hours in the bumping and swinging coach that carries me towards my fears.
Whip crack, wheel rattle.
I suppose I had expected, or had dreaded, something so dreary. That's what actually greeted me upon turning through the gates. It was a tremendous surprise. First, the shade of a broad beech avenue, which swept up the great lawn, past the sparkling blue lake, with its own green island shimmering in the sun. Above, a looming Gothic tower, over which rooks circled and caught in the golden sky. And finally, the great mansion itself, the true splendor of which makes me feel in an instant that I have at last come to life.
I'm Mrs. Gross, the housekeeper. Welcome to Bly.
Thank you, Mrs. Gross. Thank you so very much, to be sure. So, this is our new home. Our employer in London did not tell me it was so very bright and beautiful.
Well, the master loves his surprises.
It is a wonder. I am astonished by his loveliness. I truly am. But not as astonished as I am by the loveliness of this small treasure. Oh, you must be Flora. Oh, Flora, Flora, you are an angel. I wonder why your good uncle did not make more of a point of it to me. Lest, of course, he did not wish to turn your pretty hair. In such a pretty frock, and what a beautiful locket around your neck. Oh, we shall be such good friends, Flora. Sweet Flora. Lovely, lovely Flora.
Flora doesn't speak, miss. Surprise.
Oh, physiological.
She simply doesn't. She's shy.
Well, so am I. That's why we'll be such good companions, Flora. I was a young girl in my father's parish, I spent many hours alone. Why, if you counted up the hours, I probably spent years speaking a word. But in the end, I spoke. And spoke a good deal. And speak still I do. By the heavens. Yes, I think I can see a smile. A shy, widening, delightful smile behind Mrs. Gross's petticoats. Silence is a virtue, Flora. Silence makes a stupid girl wise, and a clever girl a genius.
She's smiling, miss. Oh, she has not smiled in such a long time.
Will you do me the honor, Miss Flora, of showing me our fine new home? Success! I have seduced her. Flora leads me through the garden to the lake. We find an old road burnt among the reeds. And there, at the edge of our small sea, we sit on the salt grey wood of our tiny vessel, holding hands under the shade of the great tower of Bly. I am in love with the child. When I was small, you know the children. My mother was dead, my father was harsh. Our scant vicarage home was so dark and cramped and worthy. I so want Flora to love me as I love her. I want, more than life itself, to hold her and protect her. Come, dear children, to the twisted tree, where hanging branches beckon thee. In the moon's reflection, where shadows stray, come, dear children, please don't stray. My lullaby will lead you away, where my lullaby will lead you away. The sun begins to die away. Flora takes my hand, and as she does, she leans down beneath the reeds and plucks such a wild flower. Not a bluebell, not a buttercup, but a nightshade. We walk back to the house in the darkening room. Now, as we pass under a heavy brush of beech, a kingfisher sobs somewhere over the water, like the cry of a broken heart. That night, after we had gone upstairs and put Flora to bed in my room, for I have decreed Flora and I shall sleep together, Mrs. Gross and I go below to plan the universe.
Indeed, miss. As you say again, a beautiful child indeed. And if you think well enough of the little lady, well then you'll be carried away by the little gentleman.
That's why I've come to be carried away. I'm rather easily carried away, I fear.
Were you carried away in Harley Street? The master. You wouldn't be the first, and you won't be the last.
Master is a most persuasive presence. Is it true? He never comes down?
He never came. Oh, I'm glad you're here, miss. It's been so lonely all this time, just me and the little baby.
Well, the three of us shall make quite a happy little family, I am sure.
As you say, miss. At least until the morning.
Morning?
When the coach arrives. Miles. He returns from school tomorrow.
But I did not expect until the end of term.
The master sent this letter down with you.
My good Win, expect my nephew by the morning coach. Enclosed, please find still dismissive from his headmaster detailing the situation. Deal with it, but not a word to me. Miles has been dismissed, sent down from school. He may not return ever.
Miss.
My duty regretfully requires that I report Master Miles' behavior nature injurious to the other children, and hence he must never return to us. Mrs. Grips, is Miles imperfect?
Oh, he's scarce 10 years old. One might as well believe ill of the little lady.
But you've never known Miles to be bad, have you?
Oh, well, yes. And thank God, a boy who's never bad is no boy for me.
Yes, I see your meaning. We want a boy with fire.
With spirit.
We want a boy with fire and spirit. Of course, they do use the words corruption, contamination, and unspeakable.
Well, there's spirit, and there's spirit, miss.
Mrs. Grips, the lady who was here before me, did she see anything in the boy that wasn't right?
She never said.
Tell me about her.
She was young and pretty, almost as young and pretty as you.
He seems to like us young and pretty.
Oh, he did. It was how he liked all of them.
The master?
Oh, why yes, the master.
No, wait, you were speaking of someone else.
Oh, who else would I be speaking of, miss? There is no other.
What you were just saying?
You were asking about your predecessor, miss. The answer is simple. She wasn't careful.
Did she stay here long?
Long enough. She went away.
Went away?
She died.
She was taken ill.
She went off one night, and then she was dead. Didn't the master tell you this?
Of course, he did. What was the baby's name?
Jessel. Oh, it's been such a long time since I said her name. Oh, it's late, but welcome to Bly, miss. Oh, lock your doors. The house drafts are powerful in the night.
When I return to my room, I find upon my pillow a gift. It is a locket. Flora must have risen in the night and placed this on my bed. Inside the small cameo are 2 portraits, painted miniatures. In the dim, by my candlelight, I can just make out faces. The red looks of the female, the deep crimson of the male. Miles and Flora. I an unknown hand. I kiss their portraits. Put the chain around my neck. And turn. What I see before me is a figure of a woman in all black, alone in an island of darkness. We stare at each other. Until I realize it is me. In the corner of the room, there is a full-length mirror. I have turned to look at my own body in the glass. My father's house had no mirrors. I have never seen the whole of me before. June 19th, 1872.
The third day, the gentleman returns to Bly.
It is a great pleasure to meet you, Miles.
It's a pleasure to meet you too, miss. Where's Flora?
I left with the housekeeper helping to make your welcoming pudding.
May I go to her, miss, please?
Yes, you may. I shouldn't wish to keep 2 such loving siblings apart.
Thank you, miss.
But I do hope that we shall pass many happy hours, Miles. Regardless of what may have transpired at your school, I want to be your friend. You understand, Miles?
Yes, miss. May I go to Flora now, miss?
Yes, Miles, you may.
Thank you.
Miles,
Miss?
would you like to kiss me?
Where, miss?
Now go on. Your things will be taken to the master's room. You're old enough now. He is packed. I shall carry him away. Before dinner, I take a stroll in the garden of my Hamlet's Elsinore. Brooks in the sky, the beaches whispering the last of the breeze. I believe I am up to the challenge. I dare say I fancy myself a remarkable young woman. And someday this remarkability will be more publicly remarked upon. Someday, sometime soon, he will appear and approve. With his light and his handsome face, I am here to protect and defend his little creatures, his children now. I have heard stories of masters and governesses before. It is not unknown. And there is Jane Eyre's success to comfort my improbabilities. This is my magnificent chance. What, still I ask myself, what would bring the master here? I am deep within the garden when it comes into view. All sounds stop. What arrests me at the spot is the sunset my imagination has in a flash turned real. He does stand there, high up in the clear twilight at the very top of the tower. I think he stands upon the battlement. But it is not the person I had imagined. I have not seen this face before. We look deep at each other as if in mutual challenge. Then he slowly changes his place, passing to the opposite corner of the tower, and he is gone.
Miss!
Mrs. Grouse.
Dinner is served, miss. Is something the matter, miss?
It's nothing, Mrs. Grouse. Let's go to the children. Last night at dinner, I dined at the head of the table, Miles and Flora at my sides. It is too early to go to bed. Miles, what should we do? Games? Charades? Do you play musical instruments?
The piano, miss.
They taught you that at school, did they?
No.
Then where did you learn to play?
I learned to hear, miss.
Ah,
Would you like me to play, miss?
yes, I would. What about you, Flora?
Flora's fond of music. I know what she likes.
Well then, to the nursery we go. We have not spoken of the other ladies' departure from their lives. But surely there are feelings there. And I do not think it right to keep such feelings locked and shuttered. If Miss Jessel brought music into their lives, well, why lock Miss Jessel away? Just because she is dead.
I warn you, miss. I do not play well.
Well then, I promise to listen very badly.
You're funny, miss.
His playing is so charming. Childlike in its naivete, adult in its intensity. I understand what happened to Miles at that school. He was simply too fine and fair for that vindictive, horrid, unclean school world. My eyes stray above Miles' small brain to the nursery window. Rain streaks the panes, caught in the candlelight like red rivulets. Blackness framing the night beyond. And then I see him at the window in the night. It is the same face He stares deep and hard at me. We recognize each other. But he has not come for me. He is staring at the fingers playing the keys. He has come for someone else. Miles!
Something wrong, miss?
Stop it, Flora. Mrs. Gross!
Yes, miss.
Put the children to bed.
Yes, miss.
Children safe and in bed. I tell Mrs. Gross my information. Mrs. Gross, we are not alone at Bly.
Not alone?
Did you see his face too? Staring in through the window. Such an extraordinary looking man.
Well, have you seen him before?
Yes, on the tower this afternoon.
You saw a stranger this afternoon? You didn't tell me.
He was on the tower this afternoon, staring down at me. He made his way in to find me on the spot, then stole away as he had come. He is a horror.
A horror?
I saw him.
Yes, miss.
As I see you.
Of course, miss.
How did he get, Mrs. Grace?
Well, I have not had the opportunity to quiz him. Does he only peep?
You think I am making up stories?
Well, you've had a long day.
Never mind. Go to bed, Mrs. Grace, if you don't believe me.
Miss...
I will stay up and watch the children. Good night, Mrs. Gross. I'll let you know the next time I see a man who shouldn't be at Bly.
Miss, wait. As you were the one who saw this man, well, describe what he's like.
He's like nobody. He has red hair and pale face, long, good features, rather queer whiskers, as red as his hair. His mouth is wide and his lips are thin, and his eyes. His eyes are sharp, strange, fixed.
Would you call him a gentleman?
No, he is not a gentleman.
Would you call him handsome?
Yes,
And his dress? Would you call his clothes good?
I might, but
Go on.
they are not his own.
No, they're not.
What are you trying to say?
They're the master's clothes.
You know him!
Oh, I've been tired to tell you this.
Well, don't die before you tell me.
Quint. Peter Quint. Oh, I found I'd never say his name again. He was the master's valet when the master was here. When the master left, Quint remained. He was in charge. Oh, he was very clever, miss. Very deep. Nobody could go against Quint. Power he had over that boy. The things that man could do.
And yet, he was in charge of the children.
The master said as much. It was Quint's own fancy to play with them, to spoil them. Quint was much too free. He'd put on the master's finery and leave miles off into the garden. My boy's getting on. Oh, and he'd laugh. He's getting on. He called himself the boy's tutor. He to Master Miles as Miss Jessel was to Flora.
Why didn't Miss Jessel separate this creature from the children?
Miss Jessel didn't care.
Why in heaven not?
She and Quint. They did things.
What things?
Nothing nice.
Tell me.
Miss, there are directions in which for the present I mustn't let myself go.
When a woman says she is hesitant to go any further, full distance, I feel, is her only destination. As for Mr. Quinton, his return here, we will scour the grounds first thing. We will find this trespasser and send him packing.
Trespasser?
We'll call the constable on the morrow and have him in irons.
You don't understand,
I
Miss.
understand that he is a servant who has come back to...
He went away.
He is dead.
Oh, yes. Mr. Quint is dead.
Mrs. Gross, I appreciate your great decency of not having hitherto spoken. But the time has certainly come to abandon this reticence. Tell me the story. How did Quentin Jessel die?
She started a lady, miss, like you. And he so below. She resisted at first, her Bible like a shield against her breast. Oh, but soon he did as he wished with her. It was what she desired, a lady done to by the likes of him. Wherever he liked, however he liked, they were infamous. Her always calling, Peter Quint, you devil, in the garden, in the nursery, in your room. And the children watching all the vile things they did, and saying such horrors, all of them, whispering such vile, horrible words into each other's ears. The house hissed like snakes. And then it stopped. And the house was filled with Jessel's weeping. She drowned herself in the lake. They found her Bible floating in the reeds. She was better off that way, instead of seeing it through. A woman alone in her condition. You know what they say, miss? The madhouse is full of governesses.
Aunt Quint.
It was unnatural. After all her weeping and him paying no mind. And still, when she drowned, something happened to Quint. He abandoned Miles and Flora. He gave them up. He got drunk every night, in the garden, in the nursery.
In my room.
And then, one night, in winter, he dressed in the master's silks and went off from the house and never came back. When he was found, he was at the bottom of the tower, not a stone's throw from the lake. The ice was thick on his brow, and those small fixed eyes were cracked wide open, and his head was split in two from the fall.
He loved her. Did they who found him call it an accident?
The magistrate called it an accident. They who found him were Miles and Flora. Nobody knows that but me, miss. The magistrate thought I found Quint, not the little ones. I lied under oath. Oh, miss, you can't have seen Quint.
Then, how could I know him? How could I describe him? Show me a picture. Find one.
There aren't any. They burned them.
Who?
The children. After Quint and Jessel died, Miles made Flora take everything and throw them into a fire. That was the last they ever said his name. That was the last Flora ever spoke at all.
And that's the story.
You've come at the end of the story.
I don't think so. Peter Quint. Peter Quint.
What are you going to do?
You
are in authority.
Yes. The master has given me that. First, the children must not know. We must keep this visitation private. Never a hint. Never. Never. Promise, my dear.
I am sworn. And the master. Will you write the master about Quint?
No.
Nothing?
Not a word. The master is not to be troubled, and we shall not break our vows.
Then I shall stand by you, miss.
And we shall stand together. Hold me, Mrs. Gross. Hold me. God is with us. We must love the children. In bed, I write. I'm alone at the helm of a ship called Bly, moving through the sea at night. If only they knew how afraid I am of water. I'm alone, the heroine of their story, and I must see the children safe. I must succeed where other young women, loves on eyes expectant, would so assuredly fail. Master, though separated, we are really together, he and I, united in the care of our children. They have nothing but me, and I have them. Peter Quint. June 20th, 1872.
The fourth day, the governess at the lake.
At a picnic by the pool this afternoon, I planned to question Miles on all things past and present. Laura chases off after a red and black butterfly, which hovers over your road moored at our small sea. I inhaled deeply to gather my courage, then seen Miles standing above me.
Do you think me bad?
Bad?
You seemed upset last night. Did you think my playing bad?
Oh, no. I adored your playing, Miles. I have had it from a strain of reading. In fact, I am today still having trouble with my eyes. Would you care to read to me? I'd like to hear your voice wrapped around my book. What do you say?
I do not like to say.
Are you troubled, Miles?
Not really.
Would you like to play?
I'm too old to play.
Oh,
I like a real thing.
so do I.
I like to spin.
That is not playing.
I spin for real. Would you like to see?
I would.
I'm not in the spinning.
You are a tease, Miles.
I have been told that.
Where? At school? No. Girls aren't sent off to school. My father taught me at home. He'd only let me read the Bible. But I'd seen other books. Poems. Romances. I'd have to read quickly, though, because if he found out I was deceiving him, he would take the books before I could finish. Sometimes I'd have to read the last page first, just to know where it ended, in case my book was torn to bits or burnt. Mine was not a happy education. Were you very happy at your school, Miles?
I'm happy enough anywhere.
You know, I could teach you quite a lot, Miles. I could teach you the stars and planets, the senses and the five senses.
I already know the five senses. Sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. I also know the 7 seas, the 8 planets, the geography of Eden, and where little babies come from. What can you teach me?
Well, I'm sure I'll think of something.
Doesn't matter. You're Flora's tutor, not mine.
Well, Laura is much better behaved than you. Laura would read to me if I asked.
She could speak.
Miles.
And I would speak if I could read. It's a disease. My eyes don't see the words in the right order.
But
They go all around.
if you can't read, how do you learn to play the piano so beautifully?
Different. One can learn by listening and by touching.
Well, then, if you can't read to me, then I shall tell you stories. But you'll have to trust the teller.
I trust you. Do you? My uncle does, so we all must. Would you like to see my uncle come down?
Why? I want whatever your uncle wishes.
If you wanted him to come, he would. You could write him.
I don't think I shall, Miles.
Well then, what would make Uncle come down? We should think about that. Do you like riddles?
Why, yes, I do.
We like riddles too. Would you like to play a game of riddles?
Well, I'm not very clever.
That's all right. You start. You're the governess.
Well, then, here's one. What most resembles half a red apple?
The other half.
Quite right. How very smart of you, Miles.
Thank you, miss. Do another.
Very well. Why does the ocean get so angry?
Because it's so often crossed.
Quite right.
Thank you, miss. Do another.
Well,
No, this is fun.
what was the longest day of Adam's love?
The one on which there was no E.
Well, is the woman duplicated?
When she's beside
What
herself,
is the best way to keep someone's love?
don't return it.
Do you know any riddle smiles?
32 dancers on a red hill. First they dance, now they prance, now they stand still. What am I?
T.
Quite right.
Do another.
When is it a good thing to lose your temper?
When you love a bad. Another.
One can possess me without seeing me. One can carry me without feeling me. One can give me without having me. Give up. A cuckold's horns.
Miles, where did you learn
I am
that?
unusual. I have no soul or body. One cannot see me, but one can hear me. Only a living being can give me life. I die at the moment I'm born. What am I?
Ghost.
A ghost? No, silly. Music.
Oh. Of course.
One last one. What's twice as frightening as a ghost? Give up. 2 ghosts.
It is then I see. We have been speaking long enough not to notice what little Flora was doing. Flora, my diminutive Ophelia, starting to move into the water through the reeds. On the tiny island in the middle of our sea, we had an interested spectator in black and red beckoning to.
Flora.
What did Flora see?
Flora.
Could it be a woman in all black, hair of red, pale as death? Does she wear a locket?
Flora.
Did Flora see it?
Flora.
Would she cry out, Flora? Flora turns from the direction of the apparition, who at petticoats look like clouds were behind her. She stares at me as if trying to decide which way to go. Then Miles raises his hand. Flora comes back to us through the reeds. When I have both the children hurrying back towards the house, I turn around. Miss Jessup is still there. The children safe and away. I tell Mrs. Gross.
Miss Jessel.
Mrs. Gross does not believe me. I describe Miss Jessup.
Jessel.
Mrs. Gross believes me.
And the children.
Well, they didn't say a word, of course, but
You think they saw her.
I cannot say.
Well, is there any evidence they glimpsed her form?
Well, I'm sure I am mistaken. But when Flora was moving off through the water, I could swear Miles tried to distract me.
Well, why would he want to do that?
What children want is a mystery. We must find out what these horrors are after. I think I shall stay a bit longer this evening.
Stay up alone?
I'd have trouble sleeping anyways. I'll be fine. I'll have my candle, a cup of tea, and a good book to keep me safe.
Yes, miss. As you wish, miss.
Midnight, June 21st, 1872.
The 5th day. The lullaby and the riddle.
Now the serpent was much more subtle than any other beast in the field in which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of the tree in the garden. And the woman spoke, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent,
Footfall.
and the serpent replied, On the day that ye shall eat thereof fruit, your eyes will be open, and ye shall be as gods, and ye shall know all good and evil.
Footfall.
It is a lullaby. the nursery door. I reach for my keys.
Jangle, deadbolt, click.
Flora? Flora? What are you doing in the nursery this time of night? Was that you coming? You shake your head at me. No? Then who was it? Come away from the window, Flora. Go back to our room. I look out the window. And there, below, in the garden, in the moonlight, deep within the nightshade, is Miles. In his white nightclothes, staring up the house, staring above me, staring up the tower where I shall quit. By the time I reach his room, Miles is under the sheets. His eyes closed, breathing heavy, his face flushed and glistening. I do not pretend to wake his pretended sleep. I go into the passageway, descend the stairs below. And my phantom comes out. Above me, the windows like cathedral glass half cover moonlight in the darkness. Peter Quint? Peter Quint, is that you? Peter Quint? I can see you. I can stand here in the dark for hours. The clock strikes 1.
1,
2.
1, 2,
3.
1, 2, 3.
The darkness is my friend, Peter Quint. I can see your face in the shadows. It changes shape and expression. Sometimes smiling at me with your fine white teeth. Other times contorted in a fiendish gash. And you see the whole of me in my gown upon the stand. My courage knows no bounds. Why is there no one at Bly to witness my boldness? The clock strikes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Peter Quint! Peter Quint, what do you want from here?
Flip, 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 flip.
Curious fingers of an unsuspected drag turn the pages of the Bible. And there, written in the margins of Genesis, in the shaken scroll of a female hand, is a riddle. What comes between a man and a woman but allows everything? What comes between a man and a woman but allows everything?
Miss! Miss, it's past dawn. Have you been down here all night? You look afraid, miss. What's the matter?
I had company last night, and we all wanted to meet them. Mrs. Gross, whose Bible is this I have been reading?
Oh, God bless us.
And you recognize the writing?
It's Jessel's hand.
They were here last night in the nursery and the garden, both Quint and Jessel. And the children? No.
Oh, Lord, miss. Then we must inform the master.
What? Write to him that his house is haunted and his nephew and niece the prey of devils.
Miss, he ought to be here. He ought to help.
These spirits have a hold over the children, more powerful than they had in life. They beckon to them, and the children come, and then they lie about it. Their uncles will never believe us.
But what do the spectres want?
We can answer this riddle, then we'll know what the ghost desire. I promise to fight for his children alone. The children are in my charge. They shall not write.
Yes, miss. We shall not write.
But that's more, is if the children
this is him.
Flora nods too.
Right, Uncle, Miss, please. You know how we want him.
And later,
Have you written Uncle yet?
asks Miles.
Flora pines for him.
Flora pines too.
Right, Uncle, please, Miss. It is not too late.
And by dark.
Uncle, write him, now!
He knows, somehow, that I'm under the master's orders not to write. But I want to not tell him. I don't think them. My innocent babies. I want to protect them, to keep them innocent little children forever. But they are being tempted through the garden, and I must bring them back. They smile. They laugh such childlike laughter. Myrtle to Miles and Flora, the silent chaplain. Did he teach you how to laugh? What did he teach you, Miles? What do the spirits want? What happened at that school? What comes between a man and a woman but in the house? My head is pounding, and I pray for release. And release comes, and it comes in a rush. June 22nd, 1872.
The 6th day, the Tempest.
We walk through the graveyard on our way to the chapel Saturday morning to lay flowers at the altar. And the young gentleman poses the question I am unprepared for.
When, please, Miss, am I going back to school?
You want to go back to school? Why? You've barely been here a week, Miles. You haven't even gone to the stable to visit your pony.
I'm too old for ponies.
Really? Don't you like being back home? Home with your dear own sister?
Oh. Well, yes. I like Flora well enough, and as you, of course, but, well, I'm getting on, you see.
Getting on.
And a boy who's getting on shouldn't be so much in the company of ladies. A boy who's getting on wants his own sort.
There aren't many of your sort, Miles. Unless, of course, dear Flora. You and Flora share so much. So many things I can't even begin to imagine. Mysteries, secrets, and games.
I'm too old for games.
I see. Too old for some things, just old enough for others. Like going into the garden the other night.
So, you did see me.
I most certainly did. Why were you out there, Miles?
If I tell you, will you understand?
I shall try.
I did it so you would think me bad.
By going outside after midnight.
When I'm bad, I am bad.
Charming. But how would you be so sure I would see you?
I arranged it with Flora. She was to get up and look out the nursery window at me. Flora does anything I tell her. So you see, it was all in good fun.
Yes, it was fun too. You went out there to meet someone, weren't you?
Who would that be, miss?
Well, you certainly won't do that again.
No, not that again.
Good.
That was nothing.
You must not fall behind Flora and Mrs. Gross.
I do believe I asked you a question, miss. When am I going back to school?
So much anxiousness in such a little boy.
A boy has his desires, miss.
At the ripe old age of 10.
I am wise in my generation.
A quote from Scripture. I am impressed. Did someone read that to you from her Bible?
School, miss, when am I going back?
Marks. Don't you know why you've been sent home from school early?
I know Uncle sent a letter down with you.
He did.
What was in that letter, miss?
Don't you know? Why would you want to go back to school now? Why would you want to leave your lovely home and your dear own sister? Unless You want to go back?
You'd like my uncle to come down, wouldn't you?
What I desire has nothing to do
Oh,
with...
but you're not allowed to trouble him, are you? Well, what if we could get Uncle to come down without your having to do it? If we could do that, then would you help me to leave Bly?
How would we do this?
Something could happen. Where's Flora?
Miles.
Have you seen little Flora?
She's up ahead with Mrs. Grace. Miles, what do you mean something could happen?
I'll take care of everything.
Miles!
Miss?
Miles, I've been wrestling with a question, Miles. One that has been vexing me as of late. You're so clever, Miles. It is a riddle. What comes between a man and a woman that allows everything.
Why, miss? That's easy. A touch.
Run, run, run away. From the touch to the park, to the garden, to the lake, to the house, to the steps of my room up above. Leave Bly immediately. Pack what I can, send for the rest. Leave a note and be done. I open the door to my room. In the fading night I see her. Jessel, my weeping predecessor. Standing before me in the gloom, dishonored and tragic, her haggard beauty and unutterable woe. Why do you, you terrible, miserable woman, you have defeated me? I am no heroine. I am alone and unable and untouched. I can save the children. They belong to you and that devil Peter Quint. Peter Quint! Peter Quint! Peter Quint! Peter... His name! Say his name! Jessel! Jessel! I must not flee. My governess has given me the label. I know now how to save the children.
Miss, we were all worried. What happened to you at the church?
My dear, I've had my fill at churches. I came back to see a friend. I came back to have a meeting with Miss Jessel.
You spoke to her?
She has shown me the way. I know why the ghosts have come to Bly, and why the children have been trying to bring them back.
Bring them back? But the lovely babies have been so good.
The lovely babies haven't been good. They've just been clever. They tried to scare me. They tried to drive me away. They aren't mine. They aren't ours. They are Quint's and that woman's, and they want to get hold of them.
But for what?
Miles, answer the riddle for me in the graveyard. What comes between a man and a woman but allows everything? A touch. The spirits want the children so they can once again touch each other, enter each other, possess each other. But they can only possess each other by entering the children and possessing them. The children will lose their souls and become instruments to their vile physic. Miles and Flora can perform their vows in school, in the nursery, in the garden, in my
What can stop them?
I can. I know how to stop the minutes for good and all.
How?
Hush, Mrs. Gross. Shh, shh, shh. I must start from the outer edges of this conspiracy.
Where do you begin?
Why? With Miles' school. With the Grimes his headmaster dared not speak. Why was Miles expelled? Is he stupid? Is he untidy? Is he ill-natured? No. Miles is exquisite. So the reason must only be evil. And whatever evil spoken his name since the day he died. Correct?
That's right, Miss.
And where are the children now?
They're taking their naps.
Good. I will need a paper and a pen. I start by writing their uncle.
Oh, thank God.
I should have abandoned my restraint long ago. The master must see. The master must witness what I am to do. This is what we fight for, Mrs. Bruce. Innocence. Beautiful, untouched innocence. I will need a light for the study. My father always said, burning candle is the symbol of flesh immortality. Let us not burn its very depths. My dear, please, forgive inexperience, foolishness. A parson's girl. Condition, your challenge. My adversaries, children. Lovely, lovely. Demons. Unspeakable. The man. The woman. My virtue, your touch. Your touch. Help us, please. The children. Save them. Our children. Come.
Your candle's
Light. How did you know I was in here?
I heard you. You're like a troop of cavalry.
What is it you want, Miles? I have duties to perform.
Why did you run away in the churchyard?
I didn't run away. I stayed. Here is where the real challenge is.
Is that a letter you're writing?
Yes, it is.
Is it to my uncle?
Excuse me, Miles. I'm going upstairs to Flora now.
You won't find Flora in her room.
Then where is she?
I told you I'd take care of everything.
Miles! Miles! Mrs. Gross! Mrs. Gross! Mrs. Gross! Is Flora with you?
I thought you were looking in on her.
He tricked me! She'll be at the lake! Come! A storm had come up. The clouds of purple smoke low above the water.
There she is!
Flora, a short way so, stands before us in the old rowboat. As we arrive, she stoops straight down in her tiny vessel and, as if she has been awaiting our appearance, plucks the mooring rope with one touch. We watch as the knot unfurls and the coils snake around her feet. The boat sliding off across the dark waters. Devils, no, I am afraid of water.
Flora!
It begins to rain. Mrs. Gross pitches into the waves, tearing through the reeds. Her great petticoats under which Flora had hid so charmingly just days before. Now billowing, thrashing, pulling it down beneath the white caps that have now risen from the depths. Lightning crackling and splintering above the poor old woman's head.
Flora!
I look across the bank, where Jessel stands on a small island, a white harbour in flashing light, the black ocean swirling a maelstrom round her. She isn't staring at Flora in a vessel, or Mrs. Gross, whose cries are now completely choked by the sea, which disappears ahead from view. She is looking at the house where I know from the tower Quint will be conducting. I look to the lake again, my eyes whipped by sleet and hail. Mrs. Gross is gone, and Flora's ship is near the shore of Jessel's Island. Wake up! Wake up! In a moment, I will be out of this nightmare, and I will find that I am in my bed at my father's house. Long before Bly, long before my trip to London. No Quint, no Jessel, no Miles or Flora or their uncle. Wake up! Wake up, damn you! Wake up!
Miss! I've got her, miss. Come on, miss, help me. Give me your hand. Can't you see the child is weeping?
She's weeping. She's laughing at me. She's smiling. Her smile like a flash, like the glitter of a drawn
Cover your
ring.
ears,
You
Flora.
see her, don't you, Flora? You saw her then, and you see her still.
You're
neither cruel nor mad. She's there, you little unhappy thing. You see?
See what?
She's as big as blazing fire, no! No.
She isn't there. Nobody's there. Miss Jessel is dead. The poor girl's dead and buried. Lino, don't be Flora. Come along, my sweet. I won't let the governess harm you anymore.
Flora? Flora, you leave me, Flora. Here, out the shore of a small sea. Inside. Upstairs I hear Flora's mocking songs.
You can't go into the nursery, miss.
She won't see me.
She's afraid of you, miss.
She told you this?
You and me both know Flora hasn't spoken since the morning she found Quint in the snow.
Ah, yes. Your great secret. Naughty Mrs. Gross not to tell.
Miss, you frightened her. She was playing in the boat and the rope let go. Someone should have been watching her is all.
She saw the ghosts.
I didn't see them.
I did. I saw Quint and I saw Miss Jessel. I described them. How could I know what Quint and Jessel looked like? There are no pictures. The children banned them. How could I know?
Look in your locket.
Those are portraits of Miles and Flora.
Those are portraits of Quint and Jessel. Flora must have kept the locket from Miles. Look at them. You've seen them before. His eyes, her red hair. And as for your clues and riddles, well, Miss Jessel could have written in that Bible long ago. It's just the sort of thing she would have done. As her mind went.
What a clever bunch. You're all trying to get rid of me. Is that what you have in mind for me now? Speed me along my way. No. It is you who must go.
You're right, miss.
You must take Flora
I agree, miss.
straight to her uncle. Leave me with Miles. I shall tear out a confession of schoolyard crime and exercise the devil's name.
I've taken Miles with me, too.
I am in charge of the children. Read the master's instructions. Of that, I am sure.
I'm taking them both. You can't stop me.
I can, actually. A housekeeper who lied to the magistrate in a court case. That wouldn't go down well for you now, would it?
I told you that in confidence, miss.
Yes. Surprise?
Miles will stay. I'll take Flora to London.
Good. Take the little Flora. Get far, far from this, far from them. One thing more. My letter must reach the master with you. It is in the study.
There's no letter in the study.
I left it in there. The Miles came into. Of course. It doesn't matter. The master will know, despite it. Miles will confess. If he confesses, he is saved. And if he is saved, then
you are?
Then we all are.
God be with you.
Within the hour, it is midnight, and the carriage containing Mrs. Grimson rolls out of the gates. I go into the master's room to wait.
The last day, the lovers reunited.
Well, alone at last.
Is she really awfully ill?
Little Flora.
Who else could be awfully ill?
Flora will be better. The spirits here do not agree with her.
I see. Well, I'm certainly glad things here agree with Me?
I'm so pleased.
Oh, yes. I've never felt so free. Don't you like it?
My dear, how could I help it? Aside from anything else, there is your company. I have you all to myself.
You stayed on just for that,
I stay on as your friend.
even though you're afraid of me.
I care for you, Miles. There is nothing I wouldn't do for you.
Then help me to lead Bly.
Not until we finished our lessons, Miles. Not until we told each other both what we need to know.
Then perhaps I'll stay.
You're quite the riddle, Miles. You say you want to go, you say you want to stay. Which is it? Who speaks for you? I think Miles, like any little boy, wants to go back to his schoolmates. But someone else wants Miles to stay. Am I right, Miles?
What do you want?
I want you to tell me what you did at your school.
No.
They're gone now, Miles. It is different between the two of us. What are you looking out into the garden for, Miles? What do you see in the darkness? Do you want to go into the garden again?
Miss, I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you anything you like. I will tell you, I will. But not now.
Why not now, crocodile tears?
I just want...
What?
I want to go to the stable.
You do.
Yes. Yes.
Why?
To see my pony.
Liar!
Miss!
I've sent him your uncle. I've sent him a letter.
What did you tell him?
The truth.
You know the truth.
I know as much as I've seen and heard.
And you told my uncle.
Everything. About Laura, about you, about what a good boy you've been.
Liar.
You took my letter. You know what is in my letter. But you can't read. Who read you my letter?
I can make out certain words. Like inexperience. And children. And touch.
It was you who told Flora to go to the lake. You've been conspiring to deliver Flora into the hands of those creatures, haven't you?
I told Flora to play at the lake just to scare you. So my uncle would come down and take me away from Bly.
Liar, little Miles! Come here, my dear. Let me tell you a riddle.
I don't want to hear it.
Oh, but you must, Miles. You're so good at riddles. What hangs a man all his life, but never touches him?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. It's easy. What hangs on a man all of his life, but never touches him? Say it, Miles. Say it.
His name.
Quite right. His name. Say his name. Come to me, Miles. I must fight for your soul.
You're scaring me.
You're sweating, Miles. The perfect duo of your lovely childish boy.
I'm scared.
You want to go into the garden, don't you?
No.
The best stories always begin in the garden, eh, Miles? A man, a serpent, a woman. He's in the garden, isn't he?
Who?
Touch me, Miles.
Let me go!
Oh, you want to, Miles, but I want you to.
Please.
What did you do with my letter, Miles?
I don't know.
Who told you to take my letter?
No one.
Lies again! What did you do with my letter? Did you burn it? Is that what you did? That you burn things?
What?
Did you take things? Steal things? Is that why you can't go back?
I didn't steal.
Then what did you do? Come on, Miles.
Please.
Tell me, Miles.
I said things.
Said things?
Yes.
Said them not. Did them.
No.
And they expelled you for saying things.
Yes.
Who did you say them to?
I don't know.
Everyone?
No.
Then who?
I don't remember the
When
names.
there's so many.
No.
Really?
Just a few.
Come on, Miles.
The ones I liked.
And they repeated what you said?
They must have.
And to who?
The ones they liked.
Treachery. And they told the masters.
They said the words were bad.
The words?
The words were very bad.
But you never did anything.
Words are worse, he said.
Who said?
Once they're told.
Who told?
Can't take words back.
Who told you that?
You can't unlearn, boy.
Say the words, Miles. What were these words?
They're unspeakable. Don't you see? I'm different. I was different from the other boys at school. I frightened them. I knew things they didn't. I've seen things. I've heard things. I'm more grown up.
Where are you looking, Miles? Is it him you see? Outside, in the garden? Well, come into the garden. Tell me, is he here?
Who? No.
He isn't?
No.
Then who is?
There's no one.
Liars die, Miles! You see him, don't you? Your villainous tutor, straight before us, see? I need him. His face in the night, red in the darkness, wipes out nations. I need to find out his mouth was born. I hold you like I own my child. So close. You cannot take my child, you hear me? God is with me! God is with me! God is with me! You cannot take my child, you hear me? You cannot take my child, you coward Aura!
Where is it? Who?
Oh, you know who it is.
Is it him?
Yes. Say it. Say his name. Say his name and set you free!
Peter Quinn.
Say his name!
Peter Quinn.
Say his name!
Peter Quinn!
Yes! Yes! Yes!
You devil.
It is over. I hold my child in my arms. In the garden, at last we are alone. His little heart, dispossessed, stops.
Of the last events, these things are known. Mrs. Gross died within the year, and little Flora was sent to live in a madhouse, where, as Mrs. Gross said, the corridors are full of governesses. And the lady, after that night, she would only work for families with 2 children. It was her condition. And when her charges grow too old, she moves on, like a flying Dutchman, an ancient mariner upon the sea. She tells her story.
We were all children once. What we want is affection, love, protection. There is nothing like a child in pain.
Has she